Hey everybody, this is Perch. Here's a viewer mail. It says, "Hey Perch, throughout all this frustration and irritation from comic professionals angry at what Mark Millar was saying and the ensuing fight that that I think have been followed. That's what you mean, the fight that followed. Anyway, the ensuing fight that proceeded. Sure. Uh, One very interesting hero has emerged from this entire brawl, Gail Simone. For several years, Gail Simone was, quote, part of the problem if you listen to comics YouTube. However, now I'm watching the same channels praise Gail by saying that they're looking forward to her upcoming X-Men comic and expressing gratitude for her being the voice of reason. My question is, did Gail change her perspective? Is she just smart and looking at the way the wind blows in terms of trying not to fight with the fans all the time, or did people always have it wrong? Also, do you see other creators starting to turn a new leaf and not constantly go to war with their own customers? Curious about your thoughts on this one. So here's an unsatisfying answer a little bit. I did not carefully track Gail Simone in the past days, so I couldn't tell you if there's been a personality shift. People get older and they do change, behavior, and so maybe that's going on. But I'm saying this as somebody who didn't track very closely. What I know of Gail is that Gail Simone would on social media would do a lot of I don't know if snarky is the right word, but a lot of kind of jokes, and would kind of cut people down. I remember that there was a independent artist who was doing some crowdfunding stuff, and Gail, I believe in Gail's mind, was trying to show a lot of the YouTubers how it felt to have somebody nitpick their artwork. And so she took some of these pages and was like really kind of trashed the art. And that was, I don't know, it didn't feel, it's like, hey, these guys are being a dick. Watch, I'll show how much of a dick they are by being a dick. And okay. I mean, and everybody had a bad time that day. But I remember that, and then I remember it felt like Gail just got quiet for a while. I remember that in direct response, and this is one of those moments. There's like a couple moments in the last 5 years or so, 6 years of me just kind of being online. I had posted to a thread that had hashtag Comicsgate on it, and I included the hashtag Comicsgate in my response. I said, I think if you listen to this channel for any length of time, much to the annoyance of several people, I don't like to affiliate with a group, and we're going to get more to that in a minute, because to me, that's still the part that's irritating about a lot of people of the comics pros. There's a kind of cult of personality thing that goes on, and Gail certainly has a large following that she appreciates, much like Warren Ellis did. And I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, I responded to this thread, and I said, because the thread was arguing, I've said this before, you've heard this story before, they're talking about overships and how Marvel was charging, basically the retailer for all these overships. And that's just not true. That's not how overships work. You don't get billed for the comics. You receive more, you pay the freight, but we're talking, nickels and dimes. If you got a box of 100 comics on it, they were not overshipping you like 500 comics. They would overship you like 5. And so, yeah, it cost you more in freight, but it was an insignificant amount. You could, and a lot of people did, this was the point I tried to make, that comic stores would take those comics that they couldn't sell, that were, in effect, free to them, and they would hustle down the street to half-price books and get, like 25 cents a comic, and that's not much, but it was far more than they could sell them for, just sitting on the shelf, and far more they were charged in freight. So it was just it wasn't much money, but it was free money. There was one guy who would go down and like, here's my coffee for the day. And it was all kind of sad. But anyway, I replied to that thread, and several people, Andrew Farrago was one of them, but others went all in on Perch is CG, Perch is the alt-right, Perch is like all this name calling. And Gail Simone, to her credit, came in and said, no, Perch is a retailer. That's unfair. It's a bunch of bullshit. Come on, you guys know better than this. And again, some people are speculating, yeah, but behind the scenes, she was trashing me. Maybe. I don't know. That's the only real personal interaction I'd have. I saw that she tried to kind of, slow the roll with the Mark Miller stuff and everything else. So I think, if so that's as much as I know. If she's portraying the voice of reason, or at least try to be the, hey, look, we can't completely dump on the retailers, and fairly consistently, again, maybe this has happened and I've missed it over the years, but I don't believe I've seen Simone go after the retailers. As I said, she's gone after people with the comic art and other stuff, but and definitely gets sarcastic and punchy in the responses. And I think it's inflated when she had like her crew or all her followers are involved. Then it seems like there's more of an attitude to perform. But that's a lot of people, quite frankly. But that's as much as I know. So has something changed? I don't know. If you're detecting a change and it's a positive one, then hallelujah! Thank goodness for the Christmas spirit. I mean, anything that can kind of get people to level up and not behave the way they behave is good news. I mean, just chilling out is a good thing. And certainly not going after, people giving you money, or the people, buying things so other people can give them money is smart. Overall, I mean, I have, and this is my own personal thing, has nothing to do with any of you. You could like it, dislike it, everything else. And maybe this is just a Gen X in me. But I don't like these cult personality groups that has occurred for, people like Gail, like Warren Ellis, like Donny Cates. Bendis always tried, but it never felt like he got a real, fan following in the same way. There's definitely some Tom King people. But whenever that happens, I always notice a creator starts acting just extra douchey around their crew or their followers. It becomes this attempt to kind of entertain them by dunking on people. It feels like it always goes down that path. And I'm sure I'm exaggerating. I'm sure it's not that bad, but any creators that have their people, it just feels bad, and it goes back to the Warren Ellis forums. That if you were around back then, if you would show up and kind of interact back then, those were awful. It just the behavior and the attitudes and the way people would, particularly like the mods, would just disgustingly ugly behavior, very elitist, very, we're going to tell you what to do. It was a mess. There was nothing good about it. And my general theory is whenever you get these kind of lemmings that follow people around, whoever they are, it's bad. Like the lemmings just, it's all about kind of dogpiling anyone. You quickly get to there shall be no thought other than the thought of our, supreme ruler and overlord. It's all of it's just the opposite of certainly what I've ever wanted. And I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a comic artist or writer or anybody who's deserves any kind of anything. But I can't stand that stuff. I hate it. I'm the guy who gets embarrassed when I show up for a guest spot on Thinking Critical, and people are like, Perch, it's really great that he's here. I'm like, shucks, guys. I don't like it. I appreciate the nice thoughts, but I never want anybody fighting my fight for me. And that always seems like what a lot of these groups do when they get kind of collected. It feels like it's the individual and puts kind of these fans, these lemmings in between them and any critique. That's kind of a human barrier or human shield. And that seems really shitty. So I don't like that. Now again, Gail has a big following. A bunch of people do. And I think it's to the detriment in how it often gets harnessed and used. But again, it is what it is, I guess. But in terms of is there a bigger change? I want to be optimistic, but maybe this is also the Gen X in me. I haven't felt, Mark Miller posted the feels like things really turned a corner this week and we're making a lot of progress. I hope so. I don't want to be the, glass half empty guy, but I guess, it's like fool me 500 times, shame on me. I'm not there yet of being able to say, yeah, things have turned the corner. Things do seem better. It doesn't feel like it yet. It still feels like there's, people way too quick to kind of knee-jerk reaction, hate on shit. And and each other. And it's just, even the stream I did with Wes when I showed up there, earlier today, there's just too many people who are like trying to poke everything with a stick. Like, hey, Perch, what about this guy? Do you still have that feud with this guy? You got to get on this guy. It's like, just stop. I've learned one thing about just social media in general in these groups is, and it sucks with comics. It's anyone who tells you like, I've never seen anything of what you're talking about. I challenge you to go get me screenshots and prove your point. Several years ago, I'd be like, all right, I could easily do that because you usually can. You can go to Google image search, and if you're just relatively bright about the keywords, you can find anything. I was telling the story kind of after the show went off the air of there's a guy, a comic creator, who does this to me. It's like, I've never said anything like that ever. I'm like, man, there's tons of screenshot proof, like tons. Like it's not even like gotcha kind of stuff. There's dozens and dozens of things. But the people who say this, like, I've never ever seen anything like this before, those people are not being serious. And so, 2016 Perch was like, I'll try and educate you, sir. Let me find the art, and I can show you, where you were mistaken, and there we'll all learn together. And 2023 going into 24 Perch is like, yeah, fuck it. You're on your own, pal. It's not worth it. So, in general, I do hope that there's a change. I do hope that some eyes have been opened. But quite frankly, I think that there's still way too many people who enjoy the fight, who actually, kind of get off on this a little bit. And, I think there's also a lot of people who don't take it very seriously. I've said this also before. It tends to drive people nuts for the people angry at where comics have gone side. But there's a deep lack of understanding from the comic creators about why everybody's so mad. And when I say this, I know it drives you guys crazy, but hear me out. It's not that they're not aware of their bad behavior. They are. They just fail to see how any of this is a big deal. Because in many cases, they are so buttoned up into a bubble that this all just seems like kind of a joke. And if you have constant reinforcement from your friends and other people in the industry, like, no, you're doing great, it's them that's the problem, then yeah, you don't see it. And keep in mind, a lot of freelancers are not getting the sales numbers. Most creators never look, never ask. And so it's like, you live in your bubble. You got, a built-in amount of people. I mean, one of the biggest ways to get kind of immune from any criticism is just, get a couple of people on social media who will just tell you you're perfect, all the time. I mean, like look at, Mags, we'll post stuff and we'll get 100, 200 likes to posts. And, as far as Mags is concerned, life's good. Life's coming up Mags. Everything's great. And so there's an amount of, I don't know, not delusion or whatever it happens to be, but there's just a, insulated from reality effect that goes on. And yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope things are getting better. I mean, God, who doesn't? Who wouldn't hope that? And if Gail, you guys know better than me, if Gail is turned, and really becoming a champion for making things good again, then awesome. Glad to hear it. Thanks for listening.